Have you ever noticed that the people who demand attention are usually the ones who have the least control? They speak louder, argue longer, explain every decision, and desperately try to convince the world that they deserve respect. But the truly dangerous person rarely does any of those things. They enter a room without making an announcement, yet the atmosphere changes. Conversations slow down. Eyes quietly drift toward them. Nobody can fully explain why, but everyone feels it. That is the strange nature of quiet power. It is never forced. It is simply present. Most people spend their entire lives chasing influence the wrong way. They believe power comes from winning arguments, proving intelligence, or having the perfect response to every insult. They exhaust themselves trying to be noticed, never realizing that the constant need to be seen is often a sign of insecurity rather than strength. Real influence begins the moment you no longer need to convince anyone of your value. The less you seek validation, the more difficult you become to manipulate. Imagine walking into a room where nobody knows your story. They don't know your achievements. They don't know your failures. They know nothing about you. Within seconds, however, they begin forming opinions, not from your words, but from your presence. Human beings make these judgments instinctively. Before a single conversation begins, the mind is already asking silent questions. Is this person confident? Are they calm under pressure? Should I trust them? Should I challenge them? Your body answers long before your mouth ever does. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius never taught people how to dominate others. He taught them how to dominate themselves. Because the person who cannot control their own emotions will always become controlled by someone else's. Anger becomes a leash. Fear becomes a chain. Pride becomes a trap. The greatest victory is never over another human being. It is over the chaos within yourself. Look carefully at the people who lose control during conflict. The louder they become, the weaker they appear. Every unnecessary reaction reveals another piece of their emotional state. Every impulsive response hands their opponent valuable information. It's almost like watching someone reveal every move in a game before it even begins. Meanwhile, the calm individual says very little. They observe. They listen. They allow silence to do what arguments never can. And strangely enough, silence often speaks louder than words. Psychologists have discovered something fascinating about uncertainty. The human brain dislikes unanswered questions. When people cannot immediately understand your intentions, they naturally begin creating stories of their own. They wonder what you're thinking. They question whether they've made a mistake. They search for clues that don't exist. Most people rush to explain themselves because they fear being misunderstood. Powerful people understand something different. They know that not every silence needs to be filled. Think back to a moment when someone looked completely calm while everyone else around them became emotional. Chances are, that was the person you remembered the most. Not because they were louder, because they were steadier. Calmness under pressure is rare, and anything rare immediately captures attention. From this moment forward, stop asking yourself how to appear powerful. Instead, ask a far more important question. How can I become so emotionally disciplined that my presence speaks before I ever do? That single question changes everything, because power is not something you perform. It is something you become. And once it becomes part of your character, you no longer need to chase respect. People feel it before you ever say a single word. This journey isn't about becoming cold, arrogant, or feared. It's about becoming impossible to shake. A person who remains steady when others panic. A person who thinks before reacting. A person whose confidence is built on discipline instead of attention. Because in a noisy world filled with people competing to be heard, the individual who has mastered quiet control often becomes the one everyone remembers long after the conversation is over. The next lesson is difficult to accept because it challenges almost everything you've been taught. From childhood, you were encouraged to express every feeling, defend every opinion, and react the moment someone crossed a line. It sounds reasonable, but life has a strange way of proving the opposite. The people who control every room are rarely the ones speaking the most. They're the ones who have learned that every unnecessary reaction gives away a piece of themselves. The moment someone can predict your emotions, they can predict your decisions. And once your decisions become predictable, your freedom quietly begins to disappear. Think about the last time someone insulted you. Maybe they questioned your ability. Maybe they laughed at your goals. Maybe they tried to make you feel small in front of other people. What happened next? Your heart beat faster. Your breathing changed. Your mind searched desperately for the perfect comeback. But while you were busy fighting your emotions, the other person had already achieved their goal. They had taken control of your inner world without ever touching you. That is why the Stoics believed the first battle is never against another person. It is always against the impulse that rises inside you. Epictetus once reminded his students that no one has the power to disturb your mind unless you first hand them permission. Those words sound simple until life tests them. The truth is, most people don't lose because they're weaker, less intelligent, or less capable. They lose because they react too quickly. They mistake movement for strength and noise for confidence. They believe every accusation deserves an answer and every challenge demands a response. But wisdom understands that not every fight deserves your attention. Some battles are designed to drain your peace, not reveal your strength. Imagine standing beside a quiet lake before sunrise. The surface is perfectly still, reflecting the mountains and the sky with incredible clarity. Now imagine throwing a single stone into that water. Instantly, the reflection disappears beneath endless ripples. Your mind works the same way. Every unnecessary argument, every pointless insult, every emotional reaction is another stone disturbing the clarity you need to make wise decisions. People who master themselves protect that inner stillness because they understand that clear thinking is far more valuable than winning a temporary argument. Modern psychology explains something remarkably similar. When emotions become intense, the logical part of the brain begins to lose influence. This is why people say things they later regret, make decisions they wish they could undo, and damage relationships they once valued. The greatest weakness isn't feeling emotion. It's allowing emotion to make decisions on your behalf. Strong people feel anger, disappointment, and fear just like everyone else. The difference is that they refuse to let those emotions take the steering wheel. Watch the people who naturally command respect wherever they go. They don't rush to defend themselves every time they're misunderstood. They don't interrupt every criticism. They don't waste hours trying to convince strangers of their worth. Instead, they let consistency speak louder than explanation. They know that character built over years will always outweigh an opinion formed in a single moment. While others chase approval, they quietly build discipline. While others argue about success, they work toward it. And without realizing it, they become the standard others are measured against. This doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionally distant. It means becoming intentional. There is enormous strength in choosing your response instead of surrendering to your first impulse. Before every word leaves your mouth, ask yourself one question. Will this improve my life? Or am I simply trying to satisfy my ego? That single pause has the power to change conversations, relationships, and even the direction of your future. Because every moment of self-control is a small victory, and those small victories eventually become an unshakable character. As you begin practicing this way of living, something unexpected happens. The people who once knew exactly how to provoke you start losing their influence. Their words don't carry the same weight. Their opinions stop echoing in your mind. You no longer feel the need to prove your intelligence, defend your choices, or explain your journey to those committed to misunderstanding you. And in that quiet transformation, you discover a truth that most people never learn. The greatest form of power has never been controlling another person. It has always been mastering yourself first. Before you can change your life, you must first understand one uncomfortable truth. Most people never actually choose the direction of their lives. They simply continue walking down paths they never questioned. Their habits were borrowed from their environment. Their fears were inherited from past experiences. Their beliefs were shaped by people who were just as uncertain as they were. Years pass, and what feels like destiny is often nothing more than repetition. The Stoics refused to accept that kind of existence. They believed that a person who never examines their own mind slowly becomes a prisoner of it. Imagine waking up every morning and following exactly the same routine, the same thoughts, the same worries, the same reactions. At first, it feels normal because familiarity creates comfort. But comfort has a hidden cost. It quietly convinces you that growth can wait until tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. Eventually, you look back and realize that life didn't suddenly become smaller. You simply stopped expanding. The greatest danger isn't failure. It's becoming so comfortable with the ordinary that you forget what you're capable of becoming. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every sunrise was another opportunity to practice virtue instead of habit. He understood something many people overlook. Every new day offers two choices. You can repeat yesterday's version of yourself, or you can become slightly wiser than the person you were before. The difference between extraordinary lives and ordinary ones is rarely one dramatic decision. It's the accumulation of hundreds of quiet choices that nobody applauds. The decision to remain patient when anger feels easier. The decision to stay disciplined when comfort invites you to quit. The decision to act according to principles instead of temporary emotions. Modern neuroscience supports this ancient wisdom. Every repeated action strengthens a pathway inside the brain. The more often you choose discipline over impulse, the more natural discipline becomes. The more often you choose courage over fear, the easier courage feels the next time. Your identity isn't created by what you hope to become. It's created by what you repeatedly do. Every small action casts a vote for the person you're becoming. That's why transformation rarely feels dramatic while it's happening. It feels ordinary. But months later, those ordinary choices create an extraordinary life. Look at the strongest trees in a forest. They didn't become powerful overnight. They survived countless storms, harsh winters, powerful winds, and seasons of drought. Every challenge forced their roots to grow deeper. Human character develops the same way. Difficult conversations strengthen confidence. Disappointment strengthens resilience. Failure strengthens wisdom. If you're willing to learn instead of complain, the obstacle you fear today may become the very experience that protects you tomorrow. This is why the Stoics never prayed for easier lives. They prepared themselves to become stronger people. There's another trap that quietly steals potential from millions of people. They spend more time imagining success than building it. They consume endless motivation but avoid meaningful action. They wait until they feel confident before taking the first step, not realizing that confidence is usually the result of action, not the cause of it. Every accomplished person you admire once faced uncertainty. They simply refuse to let uncertainty become an excuse for standing still. Progress belongs to those who move before they feel completely ready. Picture an archer preparing to release an arrow. They cannot control the direction of the wind once the arrow leaves the bow. They cannot control every obstacle waiting in the distance. They can only control how carefully they aim, how steadily they breathe, and whether they have the courage to let go. Life follows the same principle. You cannot control every outcome, every opinion, or every unexpected setback. But you can control your preparation, your effort, and your response. When you focus on those things, anxiety begins to lose its grip because your attention returns to what has always belonged to you. As these lessons become part of your daily life, you'll notice a subtle transformation. You stop measuring success by applause and begin measuring it by integrity. You stop asking whether life is fair and begin asking whether your actions reflect your values. You stop chasing perfection and start pursuing progress. That shift changes everything, because the strongest people are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to let struggle define who they become. Every day becomes another opportunity to shape your character, and in the end, your character will always speak louder than your circumstances. If you've stayed with me until this moment, you've probably realized that none of these ideas are really about controlling other people. They're about reclaiming control over the only thing that has ever truly belonged to you, your own mind. The world will always be unpredictable. People will misunderstand you. Some will doubt you. Others will criticize choices they don't even understand. None of that will ever completely disappear. Waiting for life to become easier before finding peace is like waiting for the ocean to stop making waves before learning how to sail. It never happens. Peace isn't found in perfect circumstances. It's built through the way you respond to imperfect ones. There comes a quiet moment in every person's life when they realize they've spent too much time trying to become acceptable to everyone else. They soften their opinions to avoid conflict. They hid their ambitions to avoid judgment. They delayed their dreams because the timing never seemed perfect. Then one day they look back and discover that the years moved faster than expected. The greatest regret isn't usually failure. It's realizing you lived according to expectations that were never truly your own. The Stoics understood that every day is a reminder of life's uncertainty. Instead of fearing that truth, they used it as motivation to live with greater honesty, courage, and intention. Imagine yourself many years from now, looking back on this chapter of your life. What will matter more? The opinions of strangers you'll never meet again, or the quiet satisfaction of knowing you stayed true to your principles? Time has a remarkable way of exposing what is important and what was only temporary noise. Arguments fade. Criticism disappears. Trends change. Even success comes and goes. But character remains. It becomes the invisible foundation beneath every relationship, every decision, and every challenge you'll ever face. That's why the Stoics invested more energy in building themselves than in impressing the world around them. From today onward, begin making small promises to yourself and keep them. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the work you promised to complete. Speak with honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Walk away from conversations that only steal your peace. Protect your attention as carefully as you protect your time, because both are limited resources that never return. Every small act of discipline strengthens your confidence. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes another reason to trust the person you're becoming. And self-trust is the foundation upon which lasting confidence is built. Remember, confidence doesn't arrive one morning like a gift. It grows quietly through repeated acts of integrity. Resilience isn't created during easy seasons. It's forged during moments when giving up seems easier than continuing. Wisdom doesn't come from reading inspiring words alone. It comes from practicing them when life becomes difficult. Every challenge you face is offering you a choice. You can react the way you've always reacted, or you can become the person you've been trying to become. That decision belongs to you every single day. Perhaps the most powerful realization of all is this: your life is being shaped right now, not by one dramatic event, but by the thoughts you repeatedly entertain, the habits you consistently practice, and the standards you refuse to compromise. The future isn't built someday. It's built today, in moments so small that most people overlook them completely. Those tiny moments eventually become your identity. Your identity becomes your destiny. As you leave this video, don't try to change your entire life overnight. Choose one principle that spoke to you the most. Practice it today, then practice it again tomorrow. Small actions repeated consistently will always outperform grand intentions that are never acted upon. The person you want to become isn't waiting in some distant future. That person is created by the decisions you make after this very moment. If this message challenged the way you think, take a moment to share in the comments which idea resonated with you the most. Your perspective may inspire someone else who is walking through the same struggle. And if you're committed to building a calmer mind, stronger character, and a life guided by timeless Stoic wisdom rather than temporary emotions, subscribe to the channel and join this journey with us. Remember, the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. More often, it's the one who has learned to master themselves before trying to master anything else. Until next time, protect your peace, stay disciplined, and keep becoming the person your future self will thank you for.